Hello, Samadan here. Now, I've been trying to level up legendaries with one last ditch attempt to try and make some big money in 9.2 when it arrives. You know, I thought I've got some money that I gained from the Mage Tower. That's up to 5 million gold. I thought, you know what, I've got the room to spend some money here and see how I can get on with legendaries. Then I hit my first obstacle. That is my server. So every time I start shopping for something like cloth or the leather materials or the ore, I come up with a problem, and that is one of supply and prices. This is lightless silk on my server, currently at 94 gold, going all the way up to 300 gold, and really there's just a few bits and pieces in their hundreds. It's not enough for me to level up my legendaries, let alone sell the ones I do have. I've normally spent between 50 and 75 gold consistently throughout this expansion, so this is getting way out of hand. I just don't have enough. If we look at leather working materials, I've got a similar problem here. Callous hide is my main thing here I need. There's a few here, 700, 300, but the price is here 73 gold, and I need hundreds of this to turn into heavy callous hide, of which there's not a huge amount of it. And it's 500, 600 gold, which is obviously 10 times this price. It's just A, too expensive, and B, there's just not enough of it. So that got me thinking, where can I get all these materials? And then this week, Wurok came up with a post from the WoW Economy Reddit talking about purchasing power parity on selected servers. And the first thing I saw here was my server, Shadowsong, all the way up here in the top left corner. Exactly where I didn't want to be. Basically, everything's expensive, we're low population, and so things move slowly, and prices are high. And so someone like me, who is trying to get hold of all these materials, just has no wiggle room, no purchasing power. And then we look down here at the more popular servers, Silver Moons, Kazakhs, the Draenors, where their prices and their purchasing power, because they're obviously a lot more popular, they have more materials at cheaper prices. Obviously their profit margins are different, and these are different kind of servers. I like it up here. I like being in low pop. I like having slow, steady sales. I don't want to have to get into the cancel scan meta. I enjoy my server. I've been on here for 18 years. But what can I do? I need materials. And then I got thinking, okay, look, if I'm going to spend, 2 million gold on materials as and when I can, could I get them for half the price from somewhere else? Consider it a holiday, if you will, getting a flight over to another country, buying up some stock there, and coming back with cheap goods that I can then use myself. Or if I really wanted to, I could sell them on for a profit maybe. So then I started working out, okay, what's the cost of this little holiday? So we look here on the Blizzard store, and we have character transfers, game services cost £19 here in the UK. I got a little bit of balance myself, but that's not going to cover it. So you get about £10 per token, so that's 2 tokens for a flight out of Shadowsong to somewhere else like Draenor. And then 2 tokens back for the return flight. So we're talking 4 token prices here. So I went and bought some tokens earlier today for the grand old price of 289,350. 289,350 times 4 tokens is the price of my flight there and back. So that's 1,157,400 gold. That's a lot of gold. What can I do with this? Well, looking at the character transfer information and restrictions, on a regular WoW account, you can transfer over, if you're level 50 to 60, 1 million gold. So that means that if I go over with 1 million gold and I buy some materials, those materials would have to be less than half price, because effectively we've got 2 million here. So if I could buy things for less than half price on somewhere like Draenor and then come back, then effectively it's the same kind of price. Hopefully I can get things a little bit cheaper. So I look at a site like the Undermine Journal, and I can look at something like Lightless Silk, do a search on that on Draenor, and Lightless Silk is currently sitting at 19 gold. And it looks like it's a steady roughly 20 gold, 19 gold. So it's been a little bit of a jump up there, unfortunately for me, but that doesn't matter. It looks like it's fairly steady and holds this price for a while. So if you look down here, you can see Draenor right down here. down at 17 gold on average, and I bet you I'm up here on Shadowsong. Got to be one of these ones. There we go. Shadowsong there, market price 96 gold, and there was a couple of thousand seen an hour ago. So we are completely at opposite ends of the spectrum. So this is the perfect time to get the most out of going from one to another, buying some materials and then coming back, hopefully without losing any money. In fact, if we can gain some money, that's even better. So I did a little bit of looking and research. So as it happens, I actually have a character on Draenor, a little orc by the name of Yengold, level 9 rogue. So I went over on Draenor, and under my normal shopping list I had a look at what kind of prices we might have here. So if we look at the main things, cloth, enchanting mats, herbs I'll leave for the moment, Clothite crystals I definitely want to look at the price of, the leather mats and the ore. These are my main things that I'm looking to buy in bulk, and do a little shopping search here. So I've got the prices of my own server in mind, and you can see these are based off of the DB market, so these are pretty much on par with what they should be for this server, anything around the 90 to 100%. So lightless silk here, 16 gold 59, and quantity wise, look how much there is. 63,000 at 20 gold, 12,000 at 17 gold. This is huge. And back on Shadowsong, this is going for 100 gold at the moment. Now that's an inflated price even for my server. I would be happy, knowing my own server's economy, paying say 75 gold. So this is over 3 times the price, which is fantastic. If we look at some other things here, and the Elithium ore I normally spend 110 gold on, this is 59 gold, so that's just not quite half price, but it's close. I'll probably need some of those because I just need the stock of it. Anyway, looking at this, there's a good amount, like 8,000 there. It looks like I'm going to have to go on a bit of a spending spree. Started doing a little bit more research, and I came across a great video by Kachak talking about server transfer from one to another, from high to low pop and low to high pop, and he goes through a lot of interesting advice there. I'll put a link to that video in the description below because it's really useful. And so I looked at that, and one of the suggestions going from low to high was actually the price of Clothite crystals, and you can see here Clothite crystals are 710 gold. Now I know on my server I've been buying them for around 500 gold. So if I build up a little souvenir, shall we say, of Clothite crystals that we can take over from Shadowsong, sell them here, that will give us a little bit of extra wiggle room with making some money and help pay for our flight across. There's also other things I've noticed here which are cheaper on my server. Eternal crystals, I've got loads of these, about 1,000 for at least half this price, 50 gold if not less. And so then consequently eternal crystals drives the price of sacred shards, and sacred shards then drives the price of soul dust. All of these look actually higher than they are on Shadowsong, so that's okay. There's a bit of an exchange we can do here. There's other things that potentially, these are holding a floor at 149, the Shrouded Cloth. I know mine, I can definitely easily get a lot of it for under a gold, so there's not a huge margin in there. And the same with pallid bones. These seem quite expensive at 215. I usually get them for less than a gold as well. So there's some things I can bring over, and there's some things I definitely want to be buying and taking back. This is great. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. So we can maybe partly fund our flight over. It looks like we've definitely got materials we need to bring back. So we've got the character transfer we'd have to do. So that'll be 2 tokens across. We can take 1,000,000 gold with us. We've only got what we've got in our bags, our bank, and our reagent tab. So there's not a huge amount of room here. So we may have to be a bit sort of careful with what we spend so we can actually take it all back. And Kachak also mentioned a few other items that are cheaper on low pop realms, and they're actually more expensive generally on high pop realms that we can take with us as well. And I made a TSM group of those. If we do a little search for these, and you can see what kind of items they have here. I've changed the percentage to be relative to region market average. So if you see things here at 24%, that's below region market average, which is 1,200. So we'd have to look at the price of things on my own server and then compare these across. But some things here that are above region market average, we could possibly buy a few things here. These are great. But the main issue with a lot of these things is their sale rates aren't that great, you know, 0.01, 0.05. And I want to go on my holiday, and I'm not staying there, I want to come back. And you can do that 72 hours later. So we've got 3 days really to buy and sell what we have. So this is a good list. There may be some things we could take over here and leave, maybe for another time as a future investment. But for now, this is maybe not the priority. I don't think there's enough of these and a good enough price for me to consider them. Okay, so the plan's forming. We need some materials, so I've been on quite the spending spree. Let's jump back to Shadowsong and we can gather ourselves ready. So Hellfire, my warlock, has been doing a lot of the spending. We need to gather up some materials. I need to remove myself from the guild bank. I need to empty my bank and my bags, which I've already done. And I'm no longer the leader of the guild I was in. All my guilds that I'm a part of are all just for bank storage anyway. If you've been following along with my series, you know how much I hoard things. So here's Hellfire in Booty Bay. So there's a few things that I've been buying. I've got my tokens here as well, which I bought earlier. And then we might as well, whilst we're here, turn this not into game time. We want battle net balance for this. So let's get these paying for our flights. So this is a cool 1 million gold spent. You can only really do this if you've got, you know, several millions to make the most of it. And so as I was in a position with 5 million, that was just about a comfortable point to be able to spend this and carry on. So there we go, that's our battle net balance topped up. So if you look at my TSM graph, you can see here quite the devastation we've had. We went all the way up to 5 million here, and this is like 6 months of working up my gold empire, and this is the Mage Tower, which is really good boost. And now I've just spent it all. That's the token expenditure just there, which is just a massive drop down, and this is my expenditure of all the different materials leading up to this decision to, you know, I'm going to go off server and go on a little holiday. So my Sacred Shard price there is 15. I've got a screenshot here of my prices as I scanned them earlier over on Draenor, and you can see here Sacred Shards are at 34, so we're over double. Everything we take over to sell needs to be more expensive over there. It doesn't have to be double, but everything we can bring over will give us more money to then buy things, and then if anything we buy, we try and make it at least half the price. So Quartzite crystals 748, my price on Quartzite crystals is average 509, so I'll make a couple of hundred per Quartzite crystal, and I've got 1,000 of those, so that's a definite one in favour. So what we'll do is I'll just collect up my inventory now, and we'll have a look at what we're going to take over. So the character I've decided to send over is Draenor, because Draenor used to be a troll back at the beginning, and is an ideal candidate to go over to another server, as is quite flexible. And then we also need to send over 1 million gold. So we've got 1 million gold here, so 1 million gold over to Draenor. Let's send that on over. So we've got 421,000 left. 1 million gold left to my reserves. I'm spending so much money. This is quite scary, but I'm relatively confident we can go there and back and at least not lose money in the process. Okay, this is the last of the lot that's coming over from Samadan. Mainly Shrouded Cloth and a few other bits and pieces. We'll do a grand tally of what we're going to take over in a moment. Keep a record of that. Which gives us 478,000 roughly we could possibly make out of selling those items. So 478,000, that's at least one token. It's not quite 2 tokens, it's not quite half a flight. We've not filled up our bank either. If we spent more time buying things up, we don't want to flood the market either, but we've got some good numbers of items here anyway. So this is contributing. This is not the essential part. The main thing I want to do here is get the materials back to my server. So I've pretty much emptied everything out. I just need to move some of my gold back out. There we go, so we're left with exactly 1 million. Now we can't have any mail in the bank. No auctions on. Don't believe we have any auctions on. No, no auctions on. Let us remove ourselves from the guild. Bye-bye guild temporarily. There we go. We have left the guild. So we just have Draenor. So I believe this is the first time I've done a character transfer. I believe that's me already. So this is best done from the character login screen. So we're going to log out of here, and then from here we'll go onto the shop and we'll go to services. We'll go character transfer, select. We want Shadowsong, we want Awakening, and we are going to Draenor. Don't want to do that, don't want to change faction, and then the process may take several minutes to complete. So let's have a look. So we're going to take the £19, we're going to pay with our Battle.net balance, which is 54. Excuse me one moment whilst I put in the secret code. There we go, fantastic, that order's gone through. So I close this down now. We have processing your character transfer is being processed. Not sure how long that takes. I've heard it can take anything from sort of, well, the Blizzard site says it can take up to 24 hours. So we don't know exactly how long this is going to take. So be prepared to maybe come back to it tomorrow or wait a few minutes and then come back there. Now it's important not to log into that character whilst the transfer is going through. Otherwise you're going to end up getting stuck. Okay, it hasn't come through yet, even with a relog, so what I'll do is I'll come back either later tonight or tomorrow, and we'll see how our flight's gotten on. Looks like we've been held up in traffic at the moment. Not to matter though, it's all exciting. Ready for the next journey, off on holiday to Adventures Anew. We'll see you soon, Awakening. We'll be back on Shadowsong with a nice tan and hopefully some bags full of gifts for our other characters. Well, here we are. It's the next morning and Awakening has transferred through, taken the flight over from Shadowsong to Draenor. So this is very exciting. We go on our new holiday destination where we're going to pick up lots of lovely souvenirs at nice cheap prices, collect them all up and use them back home, maybe even sell the odd one or two, but for the main purposes we're getting materials that we know we're going to be using in order to get our legendaries going. Of course, we also got our souvenirs that we're going to go and sell whilst we're here. Maybe that'll help pay for our flight costs. And here we are, all my add-ons are completely all in the wrong places. We'll get all this sorted out. That'll have to do for now. Let's go check the auction house first. Hello everyone on Draenor. I know it's not really everyone on Draenor, but still, it's nice to imagine. Let's go check the auction house. So, what do we have? Okay, let's have a look. We have... oh, we don't have our group actually. Let's go settings, profiles, use our Samadan master profile, which is also available over on Patreon if you ever want it. And let's go shopping, deselect everything. And here we go. So we've got a few things here. Lightless Silk is sitting at 18 gold. I think anything under 20 gold is definitely fair game. I'm not in any rush to buy everything. I've got 3 days to do this before I have to travel back. So I'm going to try and sell the things that I've got for the best price possible. So we've got our Quartzite crystals and our Eternal crystals and things like that. I'll try and just make sure I can sell those for a good price. So there's no rush here. We'll just go through and try and pick things up. Now I'm going to make, obviously, I'm a gold maker, I'm going to make a spreadsheet of this. And then we'll have a look at what I've been buying and selling and what my costs were in terms of the transfer, and we'll come back to this later. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet, Awakening's Holiday to Draenor, where I've calculated all the things that I'm taking with me and what I plan to spend. So, as we spoke, the flight cost is going to cost me 2 tokens each way, so the cost is 1.1 million there and back. Now, the things that we're going to sell on Draenor, all our souvenirs, that has cost us 700,000 at this point. So that's a factor we need to take into account in terms of this is money that we're spending. If we sell it for the prices that are currently over on Draenor, then we could potentially get 1.1 million out of that, which is fantastic because that 1.1 million pool will add to our spending money of 1 million that we've taken with us, which gives us buying power down here. So I'll take into account the profit on that, just so that I've got a visual indication. So we've got also the profit here and a value multiplier. So this basically just tells me whether it's 2 times or 1 times the amount of profit. So it gives it a kind of weight. If you were planning on taking some things with us, I'll take more of the pallid bone perhaps, but it takes up a lot of quantity. But then Eternal crystals is a really good value one to take with me. If I could have bought more of those, then I would be in a better position to make more profit over this side. But I made use of what I had at the time. Again, the problem I have on Shadowsong is quantity. Quantity is a problem. It's not just the price. So, coming back to my planned shopping list, so this is the kind of things that I would like to buy the silk, the hides, the ores, and my rough quantity of each of those. Now I've divided that by 200 so I can keep an eye on the number of stacks, because in terms of my luggage on the flight bag, I've only got what's in my bags and my bank, so I've got 330 stacks here in terms of planned materials, but only 320 storage, so I might have to wiggle the numbers a little bit. And that's where the value multiplier will come into effect, whereas it might be worth getting more value items here. So the total cost, my planned spending, is only 1.3 million. So if all these sales come through and my 1 million spending money, I should have money to spare coming back. I have to make sure that it's less than a million in terms of raw cash I have coming back, so I have to convert it into materials. Now these prices are my prices back home that I have known and will set manually back on Shadowsong, because once this is all worked out, I don't think TSM is going to have a clue as to where all my money's come from. If I were to sell them, then this would be the value total, 3.8 million, with a profit of 2.4 million. But I'm planning on using these to convert into more things to make more profit on top of those. So it's more of a double investment with a bit of risk involved as well, because we don't know how it's going to pan out. And of course I'm going to waste a lot of money by making legendaries that I can't really sell for a profit. So I'm hoping to recoup some costs that way. Overall, if we look at that in terms of total cost, so the total cost of the flights and the souvenirs, that's both souvenirs I've taken with me and souvenirs that I'm buying to come back. So the total cost of those is this 3 million here. So if you were planning on this venture, you'd need to have at least the million gold to pay for the flights and the million gold spending money. So this is only really available if you've got over a couple of million to spare, which, you know, not many people do have. But if it all works out, the value of my materials, both in what I could possibly sell it for here and the value that it's worth to me, whether I sell it or not, whether I make use of it, the value to me is 3.8 million plus that. So that gives me a total value of 5 million. So theoretically, including the cost of the flights, my actual profit is 804,000. That's pretty reasonable, I would say, for a nice little holiday that gets paid for by the profits of this. We have souvenirs, and the main thing here is I'll have a large quantity of items that I can then invest into legendaries. That's the purpose of this. Obviously, this is all theoretical numbers. Over the next 3 days, I'm going to see what I can sell, what I can buy with the money that I have. So I may get some better bargains. I may make a few different decisions as to what I'm taking with me to make sure that I can fit it in my bags. But overall, this is looking really good. So this is the plan. I have my shopping list of things to buy at the prices I want to buy them for, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, well, it's been 3 days, and very fruitful 3 days it's been. I've been spending and spending and selling and spending. So where have we got to? Well, let's have a look at our bags. They're pretty full at the moment. You'll notice that I've still got my eternal crystals. The main reason for this was they weren't shifting quite so quickly here on Draenor, and because of the fact that I bought a whole load before coming over here and reset the market effectively over on Shadowsong, the prices haven't really recovered. So what I'm going to do is take these back to Shadowsong, and the price I got them for is going to be really competitive when it comes to enchants. So I'll be able to make that into lots of different things from that side anyway. Other things I've been buying, lots of callus hide, lots of ore, a few herbs. If we have a look in our bank, this is all full, lots of lightless silk. The reagent bank is full as well with more lightless silk and herbs. I've been busy spending. So what does that look like in our spreadsheet? Let's have a look over here. So I've taken off the eternal crystals because I'm keeping those. So I've got my quantity at home here, and this is my quantity including what I have at home. So I've got a good idea of my stock that I've been buying. So these prices now are the ones I'm going to be comfortable with. I've reduced down the lightless silk to 60, and it's still a profit for me at the moment. 25,000 of those, 18,000 callus hides, some lithium ore, some lacerite ore, a few of the other ores, and some herbs. I didn't get any marrow root because I already had quite a lot of it at home. I did pick up a couple of versions of the hide and the bar just because they were a good price. I managed to completely fill up almost my 420 total. Oh, and then another thing I bought here was some Queen's Garnets. These are really hard for me to get hold of on Shadowsong, and this is going to be for the Mage Tower when it next rolls around. So I managed to pick up 36 of those, which 5,000 gold is quite expensive, I think. but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to sell the actual jewel crafting results from this for a good 10,000 gold each. So hopefully in 6 months' time or so, I'll be able to double my money there. So that's a long-term investment. So in terms of total value, taking my prices that I'm going to be using back home, that's 4 million. It cost 1.8 million, and that gives me a profit here of 2.3 million. Once we include all our profit from here, from our sales, take off our costs, then in theory our profit is 448,000, which on its own is not a huge amount, but the main thing here is I've got a lot of flexibility with these materials. This was the reason I didn't go and buy a whole load of legendaries to sell, because that's a risky and fixed market. Whereas what I've got here is all the raw materials. I can either sell the raw materials themselves, or I can turn them into various things. I can turn them into ingots, I can turn them into various tailoring things, and then I can make legendaries from them as well. So this gives me a lot of flexibility and a way of reducing down my risk. So everything gathered up and all my flight costs paid for, which is fantastic. It's time to head on back. So make sure all my mails are out and my auctions are done. Already checked those, so pre-flight checks. Got my passport ready. So next thing will be to log out and do the character transfer again. So from here we'll go to the shop and we'll do character transfer, and we are going to choose Draenor and Awakening, and we are going to go over to Shadowsong and we'll use our Battle.net balance again. Okay, that order's gone through, so let's hope that this transfer goes through quicker than it did last time. It does say estimated time a minute, so we'll give that a couple of minutes and see if it comes through. And we are back on Shadowsong. I didn't keep a track of exactly how long it took to transfer over, less than an hour I would say, but here we are, back on Shadowsong. Let's log in and see where we're at, see if TSM can work out what's going on. So here we are. Let's have a look at our bag so TSM can see everything. Probably worth having a look at the bank as well, just so we can get our stock levels all up to date. Now obviously I expect my smart average buy prices to be completely out of whack here, because TSM is not going to know where these came from or how much I paid for them from a different server. So what I'll do for each of the materials is go through and set manual prices. So if we look at something like lightless silk here, you can see it's gone down to 71 gold. So it was, when I left, up at about sort of the 90,000. There is some more stock. So I wonder if some other people have been having holidays on different servers, because that's a lot more stock than I'm used to getting. You can see 80 gold here with this wall here. I mean, my own stock levels are much higher than that, so I'm going to probably take a price of more like 70, 75 gold. I could keep these prices high a little bit myself, just by making sure that I buy out things like this. I don't have enough gold here. Looking at my gold here now, it's all updated, 894,000. That's a big drop. Look at our TSM graph now. That's a couple of big drops. We've got our huge drop here. Let's go for the last month. We've got the first drop here from buying the 4 tokens for our flight costs. And then we've got another big drop here where we spent all that million gold on all the different items we've got. So we're very much stock rich and gold poor at the moment. So now I'm in that position where I've got all that stock to turn into other things. So if I go and settle my material prices and start making things with this, hopefully I can make them all for a profit. And that profit will hopefully see our gold rise. And who knows, I might be able to get back up to this 5 million mark again. That would be lovely. Maybe even beyond. So welcome back to Shadowsong Awakening. I hope you enjoyed your holiday. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's perhaps inspired you to have your own little holiday and go to a different server and see what the prices are like on there. So until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.